Mmusi Maimane. You had a rather surprising reaction to the budget, I must say. I found that when Minister Gordon completed the speech, there was applause from the benches of the DA, but not a standing ovation. Can you explain why that was?
Yeah, thank you very much, and good morning, everybody. It's an important time in South Africa. I felt that in the context of where our economy is, projected growth of 0.8%, a prospective view on the fact that we are facing a downgrade, an increasing debt level in terms of the budget, and high levels of unemployment, the budget should have been bolder than what it was. It felt to me in many ways that it was an election budget. It didn't want to upset anybody, so it kept everybody at peace. But ultimately, when you are dealing with the crisis that we find ourselves in, I don't even want to sound dramatic, it needed bold steps. So, for example, when you talk about savings, it can't just be a matter of, as the State of the Nation address highlighted, that we must cut flights, etc. Those go some way, but they don't go far enough. The key decision should have been, how do we cut off President Jacob Zuma's cabinet? Make that as a political stance to say that we're serious about cutting. When you talk about, if you look at it from the perspective of somebody who's without work in South Africa, the question for them is whether the unemployment tax incentive would be something that would be continued on to next year. That kicks off, that finishes off on the 1st of January next year. When you look at state-owned enterprises, there's a key question about saying it's one thing to merge the boards, but I think we should have been bolder and privatized some of them. Made a decision to say SAA and Eskom would face levels of privatization so that we can include other players on the market. So in my view, and then the last point is obviously, has Minister Gordon got the capacity for implementation? And I raised that question because even yesterday, he tabled the discussion point about the tax amendment bill, which is actually a fight that is internally happening in the alliance between COSATU and the ANC. So it begs the question, if he puts through any reform, does he have capacity for implementation? So it's a fair budget, but at the end of the day, if I was unemployed, I wouldn't have derived that much hope from it yesterday. And in fact, if I'm looking at it broadly, I didn't think it gave enough of a decisive, bold step. So it went somewhat, but not for enough, in my view.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Maimane.